My story with my husband Luca. We have been married for 4 years without any children. My family became quiet. My husband often cheated on young girls outside. The reason? Because I did not get pregnant and gave him a son. No matter how I tried to say, both my grandparents in the house did not help me. They said that I was a girl who could not get pregnant for their child. A month passed. I was very sad. That year was the harvest of fresh corn. I tried very hard and did the job, but my husband Luca did not help me at all. After the harvest, I saved some money. I tried to save a small amount of money for me to use later. One night I was very sad because I did not have children. I had a really sad thought and a good thing for my family to return to love. I saved enough money to take me for a test. During the time I went, I did not think there would be these moral things. When I went to the hospital, I went into the examination room. The doctor was a big black man, very handsome on the outside and had strong limbs. I was a 25-year-old girl, but I was married. My body at this time was, as the saying goes, everyone was fascinated. The doctor looked hesitantly at me as if he was thinking about me. He looked very handsome, tall, handsome on the outside and loved. The doctor said, "You are married?" I replied, "Yes." "Because I cannot get pregnant for my husband, please examine me." "The reason is that my husband or I cannot get pregnant. My family is currently separated. I do not know what to rely on. I hope the doctor can supplement." At that time, the doctor told me to go into the room. He replied, "Did I come to the women as usual?" I replied, "It was normal as usual." After the examination, there was no serious problem with me. He replied, "Because my husband is impotent, he cannot get pregnant." At that time, I was confused and did not know what to do. The doctor replied, "I have a medicine that can help you get pregnant." And I looked at the doctor, "Please help me to get what I want." But I did not notice that my place was being looked at by the doctor. The doctor suggested that I lie down for further examination. I replied, "Yes." After a while, the doctor got to work. He asked me how many times a week I had sex with my husband. I replied that my husband had not done that to me for months, as if my husband had stopped loving me. After a while I felt like something was slipping into that part of me. The doctor replied, "Let me give you a child and you will be satisfied and will be able to get pregnant. Your husband will love you." At that time I looked hesitantly at that man. I was shaking and my heart was also shaking, but I had a heart that liked that man. Because I was a married girl and my husband had abandoned me for that relationship for quite a while, I was in a state of great desire for the man beside me. He touched my places that I should not have touched, and we had a long-lasting lovemaking. We made memorable light glue sounds. A while passed. The doctor and I had a closer relationship. The doctor and I had a borderline love affair in the clinic. I just went out and saw a beautiful woman waiting for the clinic. My face was red like a person who was being seduced. I went to get all the medicine and then went home. I cried while going home. In my head the words just now echoed. In this life there will be stories of unsuitable broken husbands, and unfaithful feelings like this. But I thought about how my husband went out and had an affair like this. How could a man outside be strong and have a slim body like this? These feelings made me unable to control myself. I cried and was happy at the same time thinking about these things. I got home. My parents and my husband were not home. I was alone and I had many of my own thoughts. My second visit to the doctor. The doctor and I had an old relationship. When I left, I took a shower and had an inappropriate thought. Instead, I went to the clinic at noon. Everyone was in a noon meeting. I went to the doctor's office. He treated me like an acquaintance of his. We didn't have much contact. At that time I seemed to have lost control, as if I was in a trance. He pulled me into the doctor's room and touched my inappropriate places. At that time, We both crossed the boundary of our relationship for the second time. About an hour later, I was shaking and I cried. The doctor replied, "Why are you crying?" I replied that because my family doesn't care about me and love never gives me what I want, so I cry. The doctor replied, "Don't think about such sad things, think about the things I explained, and think about your child later. Your husband will love you. Let's continue to enjoy these emotions." At that time he strengthened his strength. I created my feelings very satisfied, making me forget all the sadness in my heart. In my family, my husband did not bring me any memorable happiness. My parents-in-law always refused me to communicate with them. The feeling of not talking forever and not having true love. I had a private thought in my life, and that thought created a real dream, and there were changes in the atmosphere in my family. A few months passed. I was pregnant. One morning that day the sun was shining dimly on the roof. My husband had not returned yet. I woke up and prepared breakfast for the family. I had a feeling of nausea after I finished preparing breakfast. My mother replied, "Are you okay?" I replied, "I'm fine." But I knew my condition was not the same as before. I had not been a woman for 2 months. My mother asked my younger sister Mary to buy a coat to test my urine. After testing, my younger sister Mary let out a loud noise. Mary replied, "Mom, your sister-in-law is pregnant." My mother was very happy to see that my pregnancy test had reached 2 lines, and I knew I was pregnant. Early one morning my house was filled with joy. My mother quickly called my husband to come home. After a while my husband heard the news. My husband was very happy and ran home because I was pregnant. During that time my husband loved me very much, and he had abandoned all the young girls on the outside. He had fallen in love with me and taken care of me. My husband did everything for his child. During that time, I was very happy and I could not forget the doctor who let me get pregnant. I was very grateful to the person who made me pregnant and changed my life in the past. And I gave birth to a very cute son. My husband really liked that baby girl, and my whole family loved me very much. Since that day, I have known that a happy family must have children to be happy. Congratulations to all of you who have watched the video. If you find it interesting, please give me a likes button so you don't miss the next video.